Yeah. So we will start with the variables. JavaScript variables. So can you tell me what do you mean by variables? What do you mean by variables?
Variables is a container to store a value.
Uh-huh. Okay. And so when you talk about variables, remember that when you talk about variables and data types, we can say. So when you talk about variables, remember that you are talking about uh, some units which store the data for the processing. Let's code it. So I can go over here and I can say a is equals to 10. So a becomes what? Variable. So b is equals to 20. Console.log, if you want to print something on the console, a plus b. So technically, this is how you will define the variables. A is equals to 10, b is equals to 10, and console.log a plus b. Right? Now, you can open the external terminal. You can open external terminal. Like you go over here and you can say terminal and this will open. Or you can use the integrated terminal. So press the control button and below the escape there is the one button called as tilde, control button, and below the escape there is one button called as tilde. Can you see? Integrated terminal of the VS Code will open, right? So it will point to the root folder, which means that this whole folder, this folder. So you need to go to the CD day 24 and what we need to do? Node app.js. Can you see answer in the yellow? 30. In the yellow, you will see answer 30. Correct? Node space app.js, you will see answer as 30. Next thing, is it the only way of defining the variables? Is it the only way? This is the bad way actually.
Yes.
Why bad way? Because tomorrow mistakenly you type something like this. Mistakenly you type something like this. JavaScript will treat this guy as also variable. You getting my point? JavaScript will treat this thing also as a variable. So what comes into the picture? So what comes into the picture? JavaScript says that this is, if you write something like this, I will consider these things as variables. This also would be considered as variable. So here you can go and say console.log and whatever you have typed it, paste it here, and if you run it, if you see, well, presently this is because of the node. Node is saying that this is because of the node, remember that.
Yes.
But if you do this thing in browser, you will not get this error. Getting my point?
Yes.
You will not get this error. So doing or defining variables in this way is a little bit problematic, and that's why variable, if it is a variable, it should be attached with what? Var. It should be attached with what? Var. Getting my point? Var. So in the JavaScript, we declare the variables by means of var A, var B, A plus B, like this. Var A, var B, something like this, right? Now, if you create the index.html and you will load this JavaScript into the HTML, still you will get answer as 30. Correct? Presently, at that time, you are using the JS interpreter for browser. JS interpreter of browser. And in this case, you are using a third-party interpreter, Node.js. Not terminal. You are saying wrong. It's the Node.js. We are using which interpreter? Node.js. That we have downloaded separately. So var A, var B.
Yes.
So you can do anything over here. So var A, var C is equals to, you can say something like this, str or abc, we can say. You write semicolon or you don't write it. This is an optional one. In the latest versions of the JavaScript, semicolon is optional, right? You write it or you don't write it.
Yes, sir.
It will understand. Okay, so here we have defined, and see, comments are written by double forward slash. So string value. So variable C contains string value. What do you mean by string? Starts with the, well, string can be written something like this. D is equals to double quote also, one answer. Either you write in the single quote or you write in the double quote.
Yes.
And there is a third type. E is equals to, below the escape there is a one button called as tilde. And inside this also you can write ABC. So this is also valid string. This is also valid string. This is also valid string. But there is a one but. It is available only after ES6. Now what is ES6? So when you say ES6, ECMA script 6th version. You getting my point? ECMA script 6th version. So this is the 6th revision of the JavaScript. So if your browser is supporting ES6, then and only then this will work. Well, this comes with some fancy thing. Now see, backtick I will write, and first I will write console.a plus b. So here what I need to do, I want to say addition of a and b is a plus b. What I need to do, addition of, so here I will do additions of a plus a. This thing is called as concatenation. So this is a string, plus a. A means what? This addition of a and this b, right? A and this b is a plus b, correct?
Yes.
What do you think? Will it work or not?
Yes.
So what would be the answer in this case? So you're expecting this answer, addition of 10 and 20 is 30. This is what you are expecting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but you will see some magic over here. you can go here and say node, make sure that you are in the correct directory, app.js,
Yes.
and can you see addition of 10 and 20, addition of 10 and 20 is 1020.
Okay.
It is not 30.
Yes.
So whenever you concatenate string plus anything, string plus anything, this whole becomes what? String. So this much becomes what? String. Then this string, so this much is a string plus again another string, it is always string. Then this much becomes string, string plus this number again becomes string, right? Then this string plus this string is always string.
Yes.
Now what happens? This string plus this a, which becomes the string, and that's why it first prints 10. And then this is what? 10. It's a string plus this b is also what?
So string.
String. So you'll get answer 1020, right? So if you want correct answer, just add bracket to this a and b. And if you see here, addition of 1020 is 30.
Okay. Yes.
Concatenation. Now see how much efforts you need to do in the concatenation. But the latest version of the JavaScript says that, boss, don't worry, I have one operator called as string evaluation. Now see here, backtick, here I can say addition of, now you don't need a plus over here. So you can point to the variable by means of dollar symbol and the brackets. So inside the brackets you can say a, and here only it will evaluate is again dollar a plus b. So this line and this line both are exactly same. This line and this line both are exactly same. Can you see addition 1020 is 30, addition of 1020 is 30.
Yes.
So this line and this line are exactly same, but this is available only after ES6.
Yes.
It is not available in the ES5. Getting my point? This is not available in the ES5. If your browser is supporting ES6, then and only then this line will work. So string can be defined in 3 ways. So this and this are normal. Yeah. So about the variable declaration, so I have shown you the numbers, how to define the numbers and how to define the strings. There are other types also we will see. But ES6 has given you many other types, many other, what you can say, many other options for var. One is a let option. Let num1 is equals to 10. Let num2 is equals to 20. And then you can say console.log addition is num1 plus num2. Addition is what? Num1 plus num2. Let, then, so when you say var or let, they are identical in one sense. What? So here you can say var only num0 is equals to 30. and num0 is equals to 90 over here. Can you see the value, whatever you have assigned value over here, whatever value you have assigned over here, that can be changed. So here I can say console.log num0, or traditional way you can write num0 is plus num0. After modification also we will type it. Similarly, here we can say num1 is num1. After this I am going to change num1 to 40, and then again we can say num1 is num1. Okay, let's run it. Can you see num0 is 30 here? Num0 is what? 30. Then num0 has been changed to 90. Then num0 has been changed to what? 90. Similarly, num1 is 10 over here. Num1 is 10 over here. And after that, num1 become what? 40. Num1 have become what? 40. So my question is that if both are same, what is the exact difference? Remember that var is available throughout the JavaScript. Var is available throughout all the versions of the JavaScript. But let has introduced in ES6 the way this string literals are introduced in the ES6. Let is also introduced in the ES6. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Similarity between the var and let is that value of the var can be changed. Similarly, value of the let can also be changed. So one more option they have given, const. Hello? Const. So here I can say num2 is $num2. Okay. Now if you try to change the num2, right? Num2 is equals to 90, and here I can say num2 is now num2. Okay. Let's run it. First clear the console and then run it. Can you see there is an error? It says that assignment to the constant variable. Remember that this is the constant. Once assigned, it will never change. Once assigned, it will never change. So you cannot reassign the const. So this thing is not working. This thing will give you an error. This thing will give you an error. So this thing will say that, boss, you have declared num2 as a const, so that reassignment is not possible. I will not allow you to reassign it. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So in the JavaScript, you can define variables in 4 ways. What are 4 ways? Without declaring any keyword before variable. There is a no var, no let, no const, nothing. No var, no let, no const, nothing. Correct? Then you can add either var, let, and the const. Var, let, and what? Const. So var and let are similar in one sense, that can be reassigned. So here I can write a comment, reassignment. Reassignment. Reassignment possible. Reassignment possible. And here we can say reassignment not possible. In the case of const, reassignment not possible. Otherwise, let and const are same. Only one difference is there. Reassignment not possible, reassignment possible. But where and let are different. They are similar, reassignment possible, reassignment possible. But where and let and where and const are different in one sense. And what is that? I will write simple code. Where phone. Where phone is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where phone is equal to 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I'll write if condition. If true, and inside this, I will write where phone is equals to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I write it console.log phone, can you tell me what would be the value? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why? Why do you think this?
Phone's value is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the value is answer is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, let's run it. Let's run it. Yeah, answer is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
Okay. Now what I will do, I will, instead of where, I will use let over here. Now what would be the answer? Same, right?
Yes.
See now. Can you see now answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I use where over here, if I use answer is what? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 means this answer.
Yes.
If I use let over here, answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Means can you come to the conclusion and tell me what's happening exactly here? Can you imagine what's happening? If you use a where, answer is this. So in case of where, answer is this. In case of let, answer is this. So can you tell me what's happening? In case of let, answer is this. In case of where, answer is this. Can you come to the conclusion what is happening?
For the ES6 version.
That is okay, let and where. Just speak in the terms of let and where. So if I say where, the code inside bracket is working.
Yes.
Code inside this bracket means the value of the phone is getting overridden.
Yes.
Irrespective of the brackets. Irrespective of what? Brackets. One more thing, let's remove this if condition if it is confusing you. I have just written simply brackets. Simply brackets. Right? And now if condition I have removed. Node app.js, answer is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's make it let. Let's make it let. And now just see the answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which means that these brackets are making some magic in case of let. If I say where, and if I do something, answer is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But if I do let, and it is inside a bracket. Let and is inside the bracket. It is saying that answer is this. So how do you phrase this thing? You have understood this, right? So what is if someone asks you a difference between let and where, if someone interviewer asks you the difference between let and where, so you will say that if it is the variable which is written inside the bracket is the answer if it is where, right? If the let is the thing, so this thing would be getting skipped and answer is this.
Yes.
Which means that one new term has been added over here, scoping. Scope. See, scope before, so whenever you write the brackets like this, any bracket, so this brackets for the if condition, this brackets for the function, this brackets for any other thing, switch case, whatever. Whenever you write the bracket, you mean to say, what do you mean by, why do you write the bracket? You write the bracket to limit a lifespan of the phone variable is within this bracket only. So the lifespan will start from here and lifespan will end over here. You getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So the variable phone which is written inside these two brackets, so lifespan of this phone starts here and lifespan of this phone ends here,
Yes.
right? Now if I do where over here, where says that I don't worry about the lifespan, where says that I don't worry about the lifespan. So either you write it over here or you write it over here. I will consider this and this as a same. Where says that I will consider this and this as a same, and so that value is getting overridden of this variable and it would be getting printed over here. But the minute you say let over here, remember that, so this variable and this variable is a different now, because the lifespan of this variable is between this bracket to this bracket. Lifespan of this phone variable from this bracket to this bracket. So there is no question of this thing. There is no question of this thing over here. Right? You getting my point? What is the difference between the let and where? The scoping is respected by let. Where doesn't respect the scoping. Let respect the scoping. What do you mean by scope? Lifespan.
Lifespan.
What do you mean by scope? Lifespan. Okay. Lifespan. So this technically, so if you write the bracket, technically, why we write the bracket? We need to say that the phone should be available only inside these two brackets, right? So this phone should be available only within these brackets, and this phone shouldn't be available over here. And whenever you refer this phone, it is referring to this phone and not this phone. Why? Because of the bracket. And this will happen only if there is a let. This will happen only if there is a let. Okay. So variables. So in JavaScript, you can declare the variables in three ways. JavaScript variables are used to store the values. Just two data types we have seen. So here we can say JavaScript variables are used to store the values. So these values can be numbers, integers, objects, functions, and more. The variables allow you to manipulate and work with the data in your JavaScript programs. Variables. Are you understanding this or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Variables allow you to manipulate and work with the data in your JavaScript programs.
Yes.
Right? So how do you declare the variables? So
and constant.
correct. Let, var, and constant. So I can say h1 declaration. How do you declare? You can declare the variables. You can declare the variables using let, const, and var. Just a minute. I'll be back in a minute. Okay. So declaration. You can declare the variable in JavaScript using one of the three keywords var, let, and const. The choice of the keyword affects the variable scope and the mutability.
Yes.
Right? Now see, let's talk about var. Var, variables declared with the var. Here you can say variables declared with the var are the function scoped or the globally scoped. Function scope means within the function or global, depending on where they are declared. They are not block scoped and they leak. See, they are not block scoped, which means that they can leak out of the block statements like if or the for loops like this.
Yes.
So when you say var, and here also var, this var is leaking over here, right? So technically this phone should be this phone because of these brackets. So you have written the bracket means what? So life of this phone needs to be between this and this.
Yes.
But as you have used the var, it is leaking over here. That's what a leaking means, right?
Yes, sir.
Let respects the scoping. Let, variables declared with the let are block scoped. The variables declared with the let are the block scoped, meaning they are limited in scope to the block in which they are defined. They are limited in scope to the block in which they are defined. They can be reassigned, right? They can be what? Reassigned. Let and const are same, but only one difference. With respect to the scoping, both are same. With the respect to the scoping, both are same, as far as both are block scoped, but they cannot be reassigned. However, here you can say, however, the data they reference can still be modified. So you'll get to know what do you mean by this. You'll get to know what do you mean by this. But as far as the variable declaration is concerned, you need to worry about var, let, and the const. Remember that interview, this is a first interview question. This is what? First interview question. So if you are preparing for the mean stack, month stack interviews or anything like that, remember that interviewer will ask you this question. What is the difference between let and var? Let and const, var and const? And you need to tell. So this page, this piece of code and this page will tell you everything. Correct? Right? Variable declaration. Now, what is the data types? Do you have any question over here?
No, sir.
Data types. Data types. In the JavaScript, variables are dynamically typed and they can have following common data types. JavaScript variables are dynamically typed, meaning they can hold the values of the different types and they can hold this type of data, numbers. They can hold what? Numbers.
Numbers.
We can strings, booleans, objects, arrays, functions, right? Data types, remember that. What type of data variable can hold number type of data, string type of data, boolean type of data, object type of data, array type of data, function type of data. Let us see. So we can create one more file, data types.
So there is a day in 23. Create the.
Okay. Data types. So inside this, now everywhere I will use const because I don't need to modify the value.
Yes.
Const, here you can say num, or phone we can say 1 2 3 4 5 6. Const email is a string aa@bb.com, right? Const is office number or is official, say false, is official,
False.
false. Then you can say const here, can you say boolean type?
Yes.
This is a string type.
Yes.
This is string type. Here you can say age 23. Number type.
Number. Yes.
Now const address object. Can you see object? This is a string. This is also string.
Yes.
This is boolean, true or false. This is a number, and this is of type what? Object, which is written inside the curly braces. Curly braces.
Yes.
And inside that you would be having key and values. Inside curly braces, what you would be having? Key and value. So key can be any string and value can be anything, like this, number, boolean, again, whatever, right? Address, we can say lane, say first lane. Street, we can say first street, and shop, or we can say street here, second street, and shop number, we can say fourth number of shop, fourth shop, right?
Yes.
Address, can you see key value, key value, key value,
Value.
key value. So key
Value.
before colon, this is the colon. We are going to see object literal notations in detail, but just to understand the data type, I am showing you something this.
Yes.
So this is the variable name, variable name, variable name, variable name, variable name. These are the values. Just a minute. These are the values. So values can be numbers, values can be strings, values can be boolean, values can be object,
Array.
array, values can be array,
Yes.
right? And values can be the functions also. So what do you mean by data type? What type of data your variable is holding? What type of data a variable is holding, right? What type of data variable is holding is called as data type. What type of data your variable is holding is nothing but what? The data type. So variable can hold string type of data, variable can hold boolean type of data, variable can hold number type of data, variable can hold object type of data. And here you can say const id proofs. id proofs. Can you see array is represented by rectangular brackets. Object is represented by curly braces.
Curly braces.
Object. Array is represented by rectangular brackets. Can you see? Key value pairs. Key value.
Value.
So here I will write key colon value,
Yes.
comma, if there are multiple things. Key, again key colon value. This is unlimited. You can write this thing unlimited times. Key colon value, like that. Const id proofs. So what id proof? We can have PAN card. I can say PAN, Aadhaar, license, something like this. Can you see? Array. Inside that id proof, Aadhaar are the strings. So we can say array of strings.
Yes.
Array of what? String. So array of numbers is also possible. Array of booleans is also possible.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Array of objects is also possible, and like that. Getting my point? What do you mean by data types? So these are the data types. Now there is one more thing called as const. So you can say const fn just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you say, well, we will see this thing later on, but there is one more type. To the variable can hold the functions. Const fn, a variable name, can hold the function. We'll talk about this later on, don't worry. But generally you will see something like this. Hello? Generally you will see something like this. These are the data types. Okay. Now there are some rules about the naming conventions. So how do you define the variables? So we have seen what type of data variables can hold. How do you declare the variable? How do you declare the variables? What type of data variables can hold? And what are the rules for defining the variables? What are the naming conventions? Naming conventions, a good naming conventions for defining the variables. We'll not see in detail, but few. The variable names, see, few rules. Variable names or identifier must begin with the letter, underscore, or the dollar sign. Variable name must begin with letter, underscore, or what? Dollar sign. Which means that, let us see, naming conventions. Here we can say naming.js. Let, here we can say, it should start with the letter A and something like this, ABC is 10. Okay. Then let, it can start with the dollar, RT is equals to 0. Okay. Let it can start with the underscore, TY is equals to 90. Then what it cannot start with, let us see, 5. See, there is an error to this thing. A variable name cannot start with what? Number. It should start with either of this. That's what this line is saying. The variable names must begin with a letter, underscore, or a dollar sign. Subsequent character can include the letter, whatever. Subsequent characters after the first sign, that can include the letter, digits, underscores, or the dollar sign. But there is no space. Remember that. So like this, after this you can write anything, right? But you cannot create the variable something like this, gn space fn. This is not possible. It should have either dollar in between, space, hyphen in, underscore in between, or some other, any other character like this. So space is not allowed. Okay. Variables are case sensitive. Variables are case sensitive, which means that let ABC is equals to 90. So this ABC and this ABC are different things. Getting my point? This variable, this ABC and this ABC are two different things. Also, certain keywords cannot be used. Certain words known as the reserved words or the keywords. For example, if for function cannot be used as the variable names. For example, you cannot create the variable with the if is equals to 90, because if is internal keyword of the JavaScript. If is a internal keyword of the JavaScript. Getting my point? If is internal keyword of the JavaScript. So if cannot be used over here. Similarly, there are few reserved keywords in the JS. Those keywords cannot be used as variable names. Right?
Yes.
So these are some naming conventions for defining the variables. These are some naming conventions you need to remember while you define the variables. Any question? Any question?
Yes. Clear.
Clear, right? Now, in the JavaScript, let's create h1 special type of values, special values. Inside the special value, there is something called as undefined, null, undefined, null, nan, undefined, null, nan. Okay. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now, to the variables, special values, sorry, spatial values .js. So here I can say const a is equals to undefined, or simply like this. And see, it's a const, you need to define it. I can say let console.log a, console.log a. Now go here, node spatial values. Can you see undefined? What do you mean by undefined?
Cannot be give a value.
If you don't give any value, it becomes undefined. Default value, if you don't assign anything, it is undefined. What is undefined? So here you can say, let a you have defined and console.log a. And what it says, a is undefined, boss. You are trying to access a, but a is undefined. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Now another thing, let b is equals to null is a spatial value. It is a value. You have not defined anything, answer is undefined. But if you want to give some value, but it doesn't refer to anything, it is null. There is some value over here, right? This is some spatial value. Here no value is assigned, and that's why it is undefined. here you have given some special value. You have given some special value. Some B is holding something. B is holding what? Null. Now here you can say let C is equals to 10 upon 10, 10 upon 10, and console.log. See what would be the value?
0.
10 upon 10, how much?
0.
10 divided by 10. What is 10 divided by 10? What is that?
1.
Correct. It is 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. But if I try to something like this ABC, so how do you define this? 10 divided by 10, a logical answer 1. But 10 divided by string, what is, there is no meaning to this, right? And this thing is called as not a number. Can you see? NaN.
Okay.
What do you mean by nan? Not a number. So I don't know. So JavaScript says that, boss, I don't know what is this. Getting my point? JavaScript says that, boss, I don't know what is this. I really don't know what do you mean by this. And this is nothing but what? Nan. Let's write it. What do you mean by undefined? Undefined. A primitive value in the JavaScript. Undefined. Here we can say undefined is a primitive value in the JavaScript. It represents the variable that is declared. It represents a variable that has been declared but has not assigned a value, or a function does not return a value. Just remove this thing. It represents the variable that has not been assigned by any value, just declared, right? It is often used to indicate, it is often used to indicate that the variable or the property does not have valid value, right? So when you declare the variable, automatically it is undefined. When you declare the variable without assigning a value, automatically it is initialized to what? Undefined. That's what we have seen. Now what is null? Null is also primitive value in the JavaScript. Null is also primitive value in the JavaScript. It represents intentional absence of object value. It represents what? Intentional absence of any object value, or the lack of the value where object is expected. A JavaScript object is expected, right? But intentionally you have given some placeholder that is called as null. You can use a null explicitly. You can use null to explicitly indicate that a variable or object property should have no value. No value, right? Nan, not a number. Nan is nothing but what? Not a number. Nan is a special value in JavaScript that stands for not a number. It is returned when mathematical operation expects the number. See, it is returned when a mathematical operation or a function that expects a number receives a value that is not a valid number. Remember that. That is not a what? Valid number. Correct? Now next thing we can say false values. So when you say it is a false, F-A-L-S-Y, falsy in the JavaScript terms, F-A-L-S-Y, falsy. In the JavaScript, you will say something is falsy when in the JavaScript here you can say in JavaScript the certain value is considered falsy, which means that they evaluate to false. They evaluate to false in Boolean context. In Boolean context. So those values are, see now, those are false. So false is false. Remember that. 0 is also false. Empty string is also false. Null is also false. Undefined is also false. And nan is also false. So anything from this would be considered as what? False value. For example, let's go here. In the special values, let's go here. Let BL, Boolean. So true, and now you might be knowing the truth table. True, when you say true, so when you say this is a true, and if you print it console.log, you will just see true. Can you see true? But just a minute. Okay, now see. Just see false and the not operator. So what would be the answer? This is the false. And you have negation of the false is what? Negation of the false is what? Correct? Now see. Negation of the false, can you see, is true. So what we will do? We will try to negate the undefined. We will try to negate what? Undefined. See, what is that again? True. Which means that undefined would be considered as what? Are you understanding this? So negation of the false. When you say negation of the false, what is the negation of the false? Is true. And what we have seen, these are the falsy values. False is also considered as false. 0 is also considered as false. Now let us see. Negation of 0 should come what? True. Can you see? Because 0 is considered as false. Remember that. In the Boolean context, 0 is considered as false. Similarly, the negation of the false is true. Negation of undefined is true. Negation of 0 is true. Right? And negation of null, let's try. If you try to negate the null, it is again what? True. Similarly, we have checked negation of undefined and negation of nan. Negation of nan. See, again, this is what? True. Which means that false, 0, empty strings. Empty strings. Can you see? There is nothing inside string, which would be again considered as false. In the Boolean context, all these things would be considered as falsy values. So this is about what you can say variables. Few more things we are going to understand time to time. But to begin with, you might encounter situations where you will get a nan, where you'll get a null, you'll get a undefined, right?
Yes, sir.
At that time, you should understand all these things. Now, you need to revise the recording, both the recordings, first one and this one, right? You need to practice the code.
Yes, sir.
Let me push it. JavaScript. Let me push it. JavaScript variables we have seen.
Yes.
I have updated the code. You may check it. Also, document is updated. You may refer it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. We'll call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm disconnecting.
Yes, sir.